Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday PPC AMA here at My Amazon Guy. Today on the pod with me, I have Chris Rawlings of Sophie Society. Hello.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? I'm stoked for this. This is my first one, so hopefully not the last. We'll see. Unless I bomb it, then maybe you guys will kick me out forever.
I got you. I won't let you bomb it.
Oh, you got my back?
Yeah, I got your back.
You got my back. Thanks, Marissa. You're the best.
So I'm Marissa, for those of you that don't know. So I'm an account director here at My Amazon Guy. But I'll let Chris give a little introduction on what Sophie Society is and tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, sure. So I'm Chris. I'm the founder of Sophie Society. We are a PPC management partner. So which we consider a little bit different than an agency. We really partner closely with the brand. We view ourselves almost as an investor partner in the brand rather than just an agency. And we grow with the brand. So our whole focus is viewing PPC as part of a holistic system where we assess the underlying problems outside of PPC that affect PPC first to fix the fundamentals, which usually comes down to the click-through rate of the thumbnail of the listing and the conversion of the listing. And each of those has dozens and dozens of sub points, from the A+ content to the brand story module to coupons to title to, just dozens and dozens of things. which I see people already putting questions in the chat for. And we get the fundamentals straight. And then when it comes to a PPC perspective, we've actually developed our own system of PPC recipes, sort of like a cookbook that we apply based on the product life cycle that the product is in, because we found that's the most appropriate way to have success with a product. There's not a cookie cutter approach where you could just take this software and put it on this account and let it do all the bidding for you. No, it's every product has different goals and it's at a different stage in its journey. So we do it based on the stage of the journey and based on the particular goals and aggressiveness of the product by product. And that's how we've been able to produce the results we've been able to produce that we regularly post about. So I'm happy to be here, and I see a lot of questions coming in, and I can't wait to dig in.
Yes, so let's go through some hellos. I see we have some in the chat here. So we have Time Warp Custom Paint. Hello from Salt Lake City, Utah.
What's up, Time Warp Custom Paint? That's a long. Can we just call him TWCP? Sounds like a rap group.
Is that easier? Yeah, one
Yeah.
from Kevin. Good afternoon, Lakeland, Florida.
Nice. Florida. We love Florida. A lot of my bestseller friends live in Florida, especially Clearwater.
We have a super sticker from Cool Peeps, $3. Thank you, Cool Peeps. Happy Tuesday. I have some questions. We'll definitely get to those today. Thank you for asking them. Okay. Nice. And with that, I think we can get into the first question.
Let's rock and roll.
So from Josh Kennedy, happy Tuesday. Do you increase or decrease advertising budget and price in Q4? Would it be best to increase advertising in Q3 to have a better organic in Q4 instead of aggressive and more expensive PPC Q4?
He sort of answered his own question there and took the words out of my mouth. So yeah, one of the main things that we do is before the bidding gets super aggressive, because your CPCs do go up, when people start spending more. You can utilize PPC as a tool for rank ahead of time so that you're spending less to get the same results, because you're using PPC as a tool for gaining that organic ranking that carries you through the Q4 period. So really the smart way to do it, the smart money, is going in Q3, where you're using single keyword exact match campaigns targeting mostly top of search with a high top of search bid adjuster, trying to get a lot of traffic for those particular search terms, and also other ASINs that rank for that keyword as well. So there are two main types of campaigns that produce ranking result really effectively. One is single keyword exact match sponsored product campaigns targeting a keyword that you want to rank for. And that's one that a lot of us are familiar with. But there's also a massive ranking impact when you advertise for ASIN targeting, meaning I'm going to put my ad on somebody else's listing rather than I want my ad to show up in search results. That's keyword targeting, right? Now I'm talking about ASIN targeting, where I want my ad to show up on another listing. If you are targeting ASINs that are ranking for the keyword you want to rank for, that drives enormous ranking results as well. So those are the two types of campaigns you want to focus more of your ad spend on running up to Q4. And then, yes, it is the case that if you want to continue producing results from PPC through Q4 itself, independent of the organic ranking, you will have to spend more during that time, but you're also going to be making way more sales as well. So it evens out. But yeah, be prepared to spend more.
It's all relative, right? When you're making a bunch more in Q4, hopefully.
Yeah, that was a good question. And Josh is obviously smart because he already had the answer most of the way completed to his own question.
Just needed a little clarification.
Yeah, sometimes that's all we need.
Yeah. Okay. From Good Citizens, this is a two-parter, so I'll put up both parts. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. I'm launching products for the first time on Amazon. I have done all of the SEO from top to bottom. I know there's a honeymoon for me. Would you recommend running ads? If yes, what type of ads will be good? Are video ads much better than normal ads?
Really good question. So basically the question is asking, during the launch period, should you be running PPC, or should you wait for reviews to come in and wait for the product to get its own traction before you can run PPC effectively? And the reason that people ask this question is because PPC feels like it's not being very effective at first when you launch a new product and you don't have any reviews, because you're paying really high A costs because of the fact that there's not the trust factor of having that review bank behind you. So you actually end up paying more, and people think, oh, I should just wait until my listing has more trust from gaining more reviews and more traction over time. But that's not the right way to do it. So the correct answer to this question is yes, you run PPC aggressively from day one. Start PPC right away. You want to get those reviews as quickly as possible. And any way you can get those first few reviews, you want to just compliantly, of course, not violating terms of service, you want to get those reviews one way or another, get them in there. And there's a few major milestones. One is your first 5 reviews. There's a big drop in ACOS and a big increase in conversion once you get 5 from 0 or 1 or 2. Then there's another big milestone at 21, because that's like a 2-digit number. Now it feels like it's almost in the mid 20s. It's almost like in the mid dozens. It feels like it's more. And then after that, the next big milestone is 100. Because once you get past 100, you're now in the hundreds instead of in the single digits or the dozens. So you see drops in ACOS and you see increases in conversion as you hit those milestones. You want to hit those milestones as quickly as possible. But the whole time, and you mentioned the honeymoon period. The honeymoon period is 35 days from the time your listing goes active. So one, actually, this is a bit of a side note, but a good practice to take into consideration is wait until you have enough stock and then make your listing active. You can keep your listing suppressed by removing the primary image or by just keeping the listing closed. And then you make the listing active when you're sure enough stock has been checked in. Because Amazon will make your listing active as soon as any stock has been checked in. But sometimes they take a really long time to check in on all your stock. What you don't want, nightmare scenario, is you launch your product, you're running aggressive PPC. You might be spending through the nose to drive these first few sales and get these first few reviews and get your review velocity up and your organic ranking up. And then you go out of stock 6 days into your launch. And then more units are checked in by Amazon. They take their time. You continue your launch, and then you go out of stock again because they only checked in 120 units and they have 1,000 more to check in. And then you do your launch again. You have to start over every time, and you're losing traction with the honeymoon period, losing organic ranking juice. So make sure enough units are checked in first. Ideally, a couple hundred, a good bank of a few hundred units, not just like 100 units, and start your launch then. You have a 35-day honeymoon period. You want to be running PPC aggressively the whole time. You mentioned video ads, and that was kind of part 2 of the question. So video ads, absolutely great to run during a launch because they show up in search results. So the more ads we have showing up in search results during the launch, the better. Now, there's a difference between running a launch on a product with other products that already have lots of reviews and lots of traction, and this is a new product launch in an existing line, versus a new product launch with a new account. Those are 2 very different types of launches, right? So assuming you're doing a launch with a brand new account, if you can get video assets that you're proud of, that you think produce, absolutely use them and do a sponsor brand video ad campaign that targets keywords in search that you want to rank for. That will also help you with your keyword ranking. And you can also target ASINs with sponsor brand video ads as well. So you could do the same thing I said before, where you target ASINs that are ranking for the keywords you want to rank for. That will also help you drive ranking. But you need to have good video assets to do that. And also, it's not good practice to just take a video that you think is good and to run it as an ad and just hope for the best. If you have the wherewithal or the resources to do this, it's best if you can beta test a few videos, at least 2. Ideally, if you can have 3 different versions. And they can even be the same footage, but you have a different initial sort of hook to the video, a different body, a different little, features or calls to action in that video. And then you see which one converts better. We were actually just reviewing, we're at an in-person PPC mastermind right now together with Sophie Society in Cyprus. So that's where I'm currently dialing in from. I don't think I told you that, Marissa.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm dialing in from Cyprus. We were actually just going over the results of an A/B test. It was actually an ABC test because we were testing 3 different creatives for a sponsor brand campaign. And one of them performed dramatically better than the other ones. It was like 1/3 of the ACOS of the other ones. And when you look at the images, you didn't think that they would perform that differently. Like you wouldn't have really been able to predict this, but this one had a close up of the person using it, and it was very clear what the product was for. And so this custom creative for this sponsor brand ad worked way better. So I'd recommend doing A/B testing if you can, if you're going to run the video ads. Barring that, To answer the final part of your question about what types of ads would I recommend you running during this launch period, during the honeymoon period, which again is 35 days from the day of your launch. The main types of campaigns you want to run, which we talked about during the answer to Josh's question, is single keyword exact match campaigns, targeting as much top of search as possible, because that's what drives ranking the best. And then also ASIN targeting campaigns that target the ASINs that are ranking for the keywords you want to rank for, because that also drives ranking very powerfully. So focus on those two. Don't get too crazy with sponsored display ads. You don't even have to get too crazy with sponsored brand ads, but if you have the assets, go for it. But the main types of campaigns are these. I wouldn't even mess around with auto campaigns or broad match or phrase match that much in this initial phase. A little bit further into the launch phase, you could start turning on these campaigns and doing more keyword discovery. But really, you want to have your keywords figured out beforehand, and you do your keyword research thoroughly enough using all the tools you have available to you, whether it's Helium 10, Data Dive, and you come up with your keyword list and create exact match campaigns for those keywords. You do your research about the ASINs that are ranking for the keywords you want to rank for, and you do exact match product targeting campaigns for those ASINs, and just let those roll. Let those take your daily ad spend, because those are going to drive your launch more than anything else.
Yeah. And, when we talk about, good video, assets and that kind of thing, we usually like to see for the product to be in the first like 2 seconds of the video, no beating around the bush. And because people have very short attention spans, especially when they're scrolling, if the video is just playing and they're just kind of going through the page. So, definitely something to keep in mind. I've seen video ads do really well. Honestly, I've seen them have some of the lowest, ACOS out of, any ad sometimes. And I think it's kind of product dependent, depending on, what it is, especially if there is like some kind of learning curve associated with this. I think a video ad can be fantastic. Like you said, to show people how to use something. Also on the topic of, the honeymoon period, you can also, in the back end of the listings, I believe, set your offer date further into the future. So sometimes what we do for new product launches is we'll set it like a year in advance, right? And you can always edit this later, but at least that way, nothing is going to go live without you, permitting it to go live. And you can really spend that time, you can see the listing, from the back end and everything like that before it's actually active on Amazon. And make all of your optimizations, make it look really pretty, have all of the alt text, and have you can create ads in advance of the honeymoon period too, or even advance of your listings going live. So you can do like an ad setup and then just have everything paused until you're ready to turn everything on. So that's another option. Preparation is your friend here, I think, is the point that we're trying to drive home, right? You have the time. And definitely if you have the resources, you should be running ads from day one. And yeah. That was a good question.
That was very true, very insightful. And that first 2 seconds tip is super key. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. And then how many PPC campaigns do you typically have for a SKU? So I've got 1,000 campaigns. That's a lot of campaigns. Is that too many? How do you typically structure the allocation?
Yeah, 1,000 campaigns is a lot for a single SKU. You can do that, especially if you're just doing bulk file optimizations and you have some kind of automation for handling the bulk file automations. I'm assuming most of these campaigns are single keyword exact match campaigns for keywords you want to rank for. And I see some questions further down, cool peeps, that lead me to believe that yes, these are single keyword exact match campaigns, and you seem to be creating them for even long tail keywords, which is fine. That is a strategy. It can leave you with less budget to spend on other ad types, which can be a downfall of that. But and it's also more difficult to manage sort of intuitively, because with 1,000 campaigns per SKU, you just can't have eyes on all those campaigns. It's not humanly possible. So you have to rely on algorithmic bid adjustment based on the sales and the ACOS produced and the impressions versus the clicks and the click-through rate for each of those keywords for each of those campaigns. So that is okay. And I do know sellers that are effectively doing this. This is not how we manage PPC. We won't have more than the mid to high dozens I would say the most campaigns that we would have for a single product would be like 100. If we were targeting a lot of single keyword exact match keyword single sponsored product campaigns. But that's because what we'll do is for that, what we call alpha keywords that are super important to rank for. They're high relevance, high volume keywords. We have single keyword exact match campaigns for that, and it's one keyword per campaign. Then when it gets into very long tail keywords, we segregate them by the semantic core, meaning if I'm selling toys for 4-year-olds and they're toy blocks, I'm gonna have a whole family of keywords that's STEM toys, and that's like learning toys. So there might be a whole bunch of keywords. It's STEM toy block toys, STEM toys for my kids, STEM toys for boys, STEM toys for girls. And I put all those STEM keywords in one semantic core. I'll create one campaign that has all of those types of keywords. So now I have a family of long tail keywords in a campaign. Next, I might have a lot of search volume from different keywords similar to 4-year-olds because my blocks are targeting 4-year-olds. It might be toys for 4-year-olds, learning toys for 4-year-olds, 4-year-olds, toy blocks, 4-year-olds, play toys, and on and on and on. I'll put those in a campaign and group those together. And so that's how we keep our campaign count down while still driving ranking for these keywords that we know we're relevant for and being able to manage them effectively. So that's how we do it. If you do want to reduce your campaign type, you can group your campaigns like that. Then when it comes to other campaign types like sponsor brand video campaigns and things like that, there's really no need to create many different campaigns except for the A/B testing that you want to do. But you can even do that from an ad group level. So yeah, I hope that helps answer the question. I don't think it's necessarily too many if you're comfortable doing bulk optimizations and doing it algorithmically through an Excel macro or through a software. That's fine. It's not necessarily how we do it because we like to have hands-on and be able to have eyes on campaigns. So our senior PPC strategists can intuitively make changes based on their experience as well as the algorithm.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. I know you mentioned, some like kind of bleeding keywords and that kind of thing. And I think that can kind of tie into, their second question as far as like, what is the bid management process like? And how do you start to manage campaign bids? So I think, the bulk sheet, that's going to be a whole different kind of type of optimization strategy. But if you're going in there manually, what is your definition of like a bleeding keyword, and like when is it time to pause things and kind of salvage what you can?
Yeah, people's eyes always glaze over when I go into the actual statistical math of this. But there is a formula for how probable, how confident you can be based on the actual probability that a keyword is a bleeder based on the number of orders you've gotten versus the clicks you've gotten, and based on your conversion rate. So if my conversion rate is 10%, and I think that means that about 1 out of every 10 sessions to my listing should lead to a sale, right? Because 10% is 1 out of 10. So I would think that if I get 10 clicks and I don't get a sale, well, this keyword's not performing, right? That's not necessarily true. So statistically speaking, you can only be about 67% sure that that keyword is not a good keyword if you get 10 sales, because there's a good chance that the next one would have been the sale. Now, once you get to 20 clicks and no sale, and you have a 10% conversion, now you're closer to just above 80% sure that this keyword is a bleeder and you can negate it. Once you get to 30 sales, now you're in the low 90s. And then the more sales you get, the more you go up in the 90s. You never get to 100% sure because there's always a chance that this is just trash traffic or whatever. This is statistical probabilities. So what we do is we wait until our confidence level is higher, like in the 80s, but you don't want to wait too long because then you're just bleeding money. So it's basically about how confident you want to be that you have a bleeder keyword and that you want to negate it forever and never touch it again. And we wait until we're a little bit more confident. So the basic formula is 1 over your conversion rate. So 1 over 0.1, if my conversion rate is 10%, gives me 10. So I'm waiting for 10 orders. If my conversion rate was 5%, 1 over 0.05, that's 20. I'd wait for 20 orders. But that's if you only want to be 67% certain. If you double that number, you'll be much more certain. And that's what we typically do. So I hope that didn't get too mathy, but it's basically a formula based on your conversion rate. And at the very least, wait until you have enough orders where you should have enough sessions where you should have at least one order. What we do is we wait until we have enough sessions where we would at least have 2, if not more orders. And if we have none still, then we know it's a bleeder. So not to negate it too early. Most people negate their keywords too early, and they think that their confidence level is higher than what the statistics actually say it should be. So that's that. When it comes to bid management, how often? This is very dependent on the type of campaign. And I know you wanted to be specific. I'll be as specific as possible. So if I'm in launch phase and I have a single keyword exact match campaign for one of my primary keywords, say I'm selling chewable omega-3 for dogs, and I know that over 2/3 of all the sales for these products come from this one keyword, chewable omega-3 for dogs. It's just the only thing people tend to search. Then I'm going to be looking at that keyword at least daily, maybe more so, and adjusting not just the bid, but the top of search bid adjuster to make sure that I'm getting impressions for the keyword that I know I need to rank for, because that launch phase is very critical. That first 35 days, every day is like gold. You can't let it go by unmanaged. So that top of search bid adjuster should be managed daily so that you're getting mostly top of search impressions, and even the bid if it's too low to get impressions. Now, one way, this touches on another question you have, and we can go deeper once we get to it. If we do get to it, it's up to Marissa. But one way to do this is you can set your bidding strategy to up and down, because that allows Amazon to move it up as high as necessary for you to start getting impressions. A lot of PPC managers are afraid of up and down, and they only use down only, or they only use fixed. But up and down is actually a really good type of bidding strategy if you're not getting impressions and you don't know why. It allows Amazon to tell you, this is why you're just not bidding high enough. And we're telling you exactly how high you need to go in order to bid high enough. Then once you find where that bid is that you get impressions, then you could fine tune it, go back to fixed, and then start changing the bids, based on the amount of impressions you're getting. So that's another way that can help you with the bidding if you're not getting impressions enough. But yeah, in any case, if you're doing every 3 days for a general campaign maintenance, that's plenty. You can do weekly for campaigns that are, have long history and they're performing well. Weekly can be standard, but there are certain periods where you want to do definitely daily, every single day. We have eyes on those campaigns like multiple times per day, every day during launch phase when it's super critical like that. So it does depend on the campaign. I hope that helped.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into our next question too. But I think that's helpful. Here at My Amazon Guy, we do it, twice a week, where that makes sense. Obviously, like you said, for a new product launch, we're in there every single day. Even if we're not changing anything, we're looking at everything every day, right? And just monitoring, because especially, if you have campaigns that are spending, even upwards of like $100 a day or something like that, that spend can get real out of hand real quickly. And, it's worth definitely looking into. So next question from Karen. So thoughts on dynamic up and down bidding. When, if ever, do you change campaign to this bidding style? So type of client or PPC campaign health is best suited for. So I think we answered some of this already as far as, when do we change this? Maybe if we're not getting a whole lot of impressions or a whole lot of orders, we can see if it's a visibility problem, and Amazon, like you said, will tell us if we need to be bidding more. But I guess the other half of this question, like the type of client or PPC campaign it's best suited for, is probably a more specific question that you can answer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I think I would not have this be the majority. This is kind of something that you do only when necessary, but I also wouldn't be afraid of it. Like I mentioned before, like a lot of PPC agencies, PPC freelancers, and brand owners themselves, they are afraid of up and down. They're like, I don't want to let Amazon spend all my cash.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, great. I'm just giving them a blank check to like bid whatever they want. But bid is not equal to spend. Amazon doesn't, when I bid $2, that doesn't mean every click is going to be $2. That's my bid. Amazon has its own algorithm for determining what the cost per click ended up being. So it's not actually that. The dynamic up and down bidding just allows Amazon to find the bidding that will get you impressions. So the proper time to use this is when you're not getting impressions. If you're having trouble getting impressions, or historically for this campaign type or this type of product, you know that you're going to have problems getting impressions even without testing, do dynamic up and down so that Amazon can find the proper bidding for you to get those impressions. Then you can actually move it to fixed, and you can start fine tuning that bid to get the impressions you want and to ramp up or ramp down your spend by using the bid as a tool for ramping up and ramping down spend. So that's when I would use it. I think it makes sense if, for instance, I'm targeting my own ASIN in a brand defense campaign, an ASIN brand defense campaign, and for some reason my ads aren't showing up on my other ASINs, but the other competitors' ads are. They're stealing all my traffic from my own listings, my own ASINs. So obviously that's bad. Not only am I not getting those sales, but the listing that they stole the traffic from is also not getting sales. So my ads aren't getting sales, my ads aren't getting impressions, and my listings that are being sniped by other competitors are also not getting sales. And that's a loss that you don't see in your advertising report. It's like the invisible cost of not doing brand defense campaigns. So that's huge. You want to advertise on your own ASINs as much as you possibly can. That's good brand defense strategy. So if I'm not showing on my own listings, that means that other brands are outbidding me, or for some reason getting the impressions while I'm not. I would want to give Amazon not free reign, but basically give them the freedom to find the bid that lets me defend my own ASINs, because I'm losing doubly every time I'm not showing up on my listing. I'm not getting the sale, and a competitor is taking the sale from that listing, not just the advertised ASIN, but the listing that I was going to advertise on. So it's 2 sales that I missed every time a competitor is advertising on my listing, which is super bad. So in this case, I want to use dynamic up and down because I want Amazon to find the right bid to give me the impression on my own listing, so I can take back that, defend my own turf, and keep my sales, in my own ecosystem. And that's just one example, but that's the type of situation I would use that for.
Yeah, I think that's a good example. I think, we get a lot of clients who are concerned about how other people can possibly show up on their listings, right? It's not always immediately apparent that that's something that people can do, and that's not something that people understand all the time. But everything is an auction. Every little space like that is an opportunity for somebody else to make that sale. So I think that's a really great way to think about it. In terms of sales and kind of hidden costs associated with not doing, campaigns like that. Even though self-targeted campaigns can, tend to run a little bit of a higher ACoS, I do think, in the long run, they're worth it for brand defense and making sure that you have a handle on your brand, right? In some capacity, you can, have some control, So
Exactly. Yep. That's true. I always like to say, like, your listing isn't yours. If you made a long printout of your listing, it would be a really long piece of paper with your primary image and your bullets at the top. And then it would be the variations next, and then the frequently bought together, and it would go down and down and down, right? And you could highlight which parts of the listing are actually related to your brand or your product. And it's not the whole thing. It's not even close to the whole thing. It's somewhere around 60 to 65% of the listing is actually you or your brand or your product. The rest of it is advertising other brands, other products, or other things Amazon wants to push. So your goal should be make as much of this listing me as possible. I want to own as much real estate on my own listings as possible. And doing brand defense campaigns targeting my own ASINs is one great way to do that. There are actually a lot of great ways to do this. Uploading brand story module is great for this. Uploading A+ content that uses all 7 modules, great for this. Uploading the product carousel in A+ content that advertises your other brands for free. That's 0% ACoS advertising right there on your listing. A great way to do this.
pushes everything.
There's a lot of great ways. Yeah, it pushes it all out. So they're less likely to see other brands' ads and more likely to see your stuff. That's the game.
Definitely. Okay. Hi, Chris. I followed many of your recommendations regarding CTR, CVR, and relevance and found them to be very effective. Thanks.
Nice. That wasn't even a question. That was just straight up props.
He had a
Love it.
question afterwards. He had to butter
Okay,
you up a
okay.
little bit and then. So, running into resistance, convincing a brand owner to alter main image slightly to help improve CTR. Do you know of any studies I can reference on improving main images? Example, Zesty Pause image dimensions. So, I know I'll interject here for a sec. Stephen Pope does have his main image hacks, so that's on the My Amazon Guy website as far as you know little things you can do to modify your image that isn't necessarily you know impacting the entirety of it. I'll kind of let you jump in with your suggestions here too.
Yeah, actually, that you said that, I was like trying to Google it live. I'm gonna check those out as well because I'm always looking for more main image hacks. Main image is one of the most understated reasons for a brand success on Amazon in general. Like Jeffrey mentioned Zesty Paws, and you probably heard me use that example before, Jeffrey, which is why I'm sure you touched on that. This is the biggest exit of an Amazon first brand in history of Amazon. It was a $600 million exit of this brand Zesty Paws. This is actually an old client partner of mine, AJ Patel, who started this brand, and we served his previous brand, Instant Natural, and we launched them in Europe. And so they made a $600 million exit from this brand. And one of the main things that they did here is they made their primary images highly clickable. They had the product fill out the whole image. It was a bright color, and it showed the keyword, the primary keyword, on the packaging of the image itself, which is a super huge hack. And I'm sure that's one of Steven's hacks that Marissa is screen sharing right now. So in terms of any studies, I don't know of any actual studies that were done, like actual scientific studies or even like casual studies that were done on this outside of our own knowledge inside of our agency Sophie Society, where we A/B test things and we just get the data, but we don't publish them as studies. Maybe we should, but I do have an entire article which you may or may not have read on click through rate. Which I don't know if can I drop a link in here? Does that
Yeah,
work? Will you be able to
definitely.
see it?
We can
So this
put one on the screen too if you want to put it in chat, and I can make a banner of it. That would work.
oh sweet, yeah, I will. So I just copied it, posted a link in here. It's called the Amazon click through rate 2023 Ultimate Guide. And this shows a lot of data and a lot of information all about click-through rate, including primary image hacks, but it's also a lot of other things as well: batches, coupons, title optimization, strike-through price, size bumping of the thumbnail itself, making it bigger. So it goes through a whole bunch of it. It's a long article, but this is literally how these 9-figure exits happen, is because they get all the clicks, the front page, shoppers load it, and then one of them just draws the eye for a number of reasons, and they're all subconscious. So there are ways to hack it. This is something that we do internally at our team. And yeah, so I wouldn't call this a study, but this resource might help you. And hopefully it can help you convince the brand owner that you're discussing and you're talking about make the changes.
I think it's hard sometimes, when you work with clients that are maybe not so willing to share their successes or, their kind of content or anything like that. They're more private to actually have like a study, you know what I mean? Like built out and that kind of thing, because we deal with a lot of, sensitive client information. I do think, though, as a general, kind of method, kind of going along with what you're saying, as far as like A/B testing and stuff like that. Amazon lets you A/B test within their own platform. So if you're just creating a new image, either with you know a bubble like 12 pack or including like a kiwi or some ingredient element behind the image itself to make it pop, skincare, right, including texture, and showing people what it looks like before they even have to open up the actual page, right, and look at all of the infographics. Stuff like that, like show what people want to see. Like, how are people making that determination for, actually clicking on the listing and thinking about buying it, right? So, you can A/B test on Amazon. Especially if your product has enough traffic and everything like that. 50% of the time it'll show the new image, the other 50% it'll show the customer the old image, and you'll be able to get a lot of good information as far as which one people are purchasing on. It takes a few weeks. I think it takes like 2-ish weeks, and you can do it out to significance, or you can keep it running for however long you want to. But definitely make sure you're using Amazon's own tools. I know there's a lot of other great ones out there, but sometimes the best information is the information that Amazon is giving you themselves. So always lead with the data. We have clients that are hesitant to change up their main images as well. And to that, I say, would you be willing to do an A/B test? And, a lot of the time they'll say yes and say, show me the data. Show me the proof that this is going to work, And sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes our image isn't the better image, and I'm okay with being wrong. But it's always, worth a shot to experiment. Okay. From Josh, Chris always brings the value. Glad you get him on the show. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Nice. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I love it. This is an awesome format. I was talking to Marissa about this beforehand, that I'm glad that these guys are doing this because nobody else has done it before. It's awesome. I love it.
Hey, Chris, we love you. And then greetings from Pakistan. So hello.
Love you too, Vicky.
Okay.
What's up, Nor? Greetings.
So if I want to show up first on a competitor product using a sponsored product targeting campaign, would I increase the top of search or product page modifier?
If you're trying to show up on the product page for the competitor, you want to increase the product page modifier. So this is a weird thing about Amazon, but whether you're targeting keywords or you're targeting products, Amazon can show your ads in search or on ASINs. I don't know why Amazon made this choice, but it is what it is. Any sponsored product campaign can show up either in search or on product listings. It doesn't matter whether you're targeting an ASIN or targeting a keyword. So it's weird. You can find out by downloading the reports and looking at the search term report and targeting data in the campaign. But the whole point of the modifier is to try to get more impressions on the type of placement that you want, whether it's placing on product pages or placing in search. So if you're trying to target a competitor's listing and you want to show up on the listing specifically, not for the competitor's branded search terms or in search results for search terms related to the competitor, you want to show up on their listing only, you're going to up the product page modifier because it makes it more likely that your bids will be higher for the listing and less likely that your bids will be high enough to get top of search impressions. So that will help you get more product page visits.
Yeah, I think that is pretty straightforward answer, I think. And then we have another hello. Greetings from Houston, Texas.
What's up, Obina? Obina,
and then Time Warp Custom Paint gave us a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Go back. So we have a question from Jeff Allen. Is there any benefit for advertising to separate variations if you have a lot on one listing? So 45 variations, you then have to have 2 campaigns and pay for each. So I think this is more of like a segmentation question.
Yeah. So this is a really common question. So the only way to find out is to try advertising the variations and then find out which variation is performing best. And then you just hammer on that one. The only caveat to this is certain variations actually might have different search terms. Like for instance, blue seat cushion and black seat cushion. I might have a seat cushion and my variations are one is blue and one is black. Obviously, for all the search terms that have the word blue in it, I want to be advertising the blue ASIN only, right? But generally, you're going to use the top click-through rate, the ASIN with the highest click-through rate and the ASIN with the highest conversion rate, and focus most of your ad spend on that. And that becomes the funnel for people to get onto the listing. And then some of them upsell to the higher cost variations or the other variations where you kind of got them in the door with the one that has the best hook because it ends up getting the most clicks or it's got the best economics. So a common strategy that a lot of our brands employ is you have a variation that's a lower cost and you might not be making very much money. You might be just over break even or break even on the sales from that variation. And you focus all the spend on it because it gets more clicks because it's more cost effective. And, that price is one of the main elements that affects click-through rate. But once they get on the listing, there's higher cost variations that have higher margin. So the margin evens out and becomes healthy because you're getting people on the listing with the highest click-through rate and with the low price variation. And then you make your money with the people that take the other variations. So that's another strategy. But in general, I would say focus the ad spend, a majority of it on the highest converting, highest click-through rate ASINs. And you just see that from the search term reports, from Product Opportunity Explorer, and from the Search Query Report.
Definitely. And, not every single variation is going to be a winner, kind of like you were saying. You can, it depends on your goals, I think, largely. So if you have one variation that is absolutely like killing it, I'd argue that maybe you don't need to advertise that one, right? If it's going to do really well anyway, you may or may not disagree. But if you're really trying to push inventory and stock on one variation that, whether it's a different color or different size that isn't selling as well, advertising is a tool. And, depending on how you want to use it, you really have to have goals in mind, right? You have to have those KPIs from before you even start the campaigns, right? Like, what are you trying to do with them? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, campaigns can accomplish a lot of different goals. Sometimes you're literally just using the campaign as a tool for rank. Sometimes you're really just trying to pull profit out of that product and you want it to be as lean and low ACoS as possible. Other times you have some ranking, but you want to gain ranking while keeping it lean. And it's kind of a balance between profit and ranking that you're trying to do. Keep it as lean as possible while still driving rank. So there's always the goal. That was a very insightful comment is a huge determining factor of the strategy that you employ with the types of campaigns you create and the types of bidding strategies you use for the campaigns for a given product. So yeah, it's true.
Then is it advisable to start the relaunching all over again with new campaigns and strategy if old keywords are not being indexed? So if the listing is dead for like 3 months. So I'd be interested if this is more of like an inventory issue, like an out of stock, or if this is just like listing fell off.
Yeah. You can re-rank dead listings. There's a lot of things that you can do to re-rank dead listings. So this is a deep topic, and I actually have an entire 12-page white paper about re-ranking dead listings that I'm happy to share. I don't know how I can do it. I think I could get a link if you want to. If these guys want it, I can grab a link. It's just a PDF, so there's no website or anything. It's just a paper I wrote. So yeah, I'll grab that in a second. In general, you can re-rank dead listings. Sometimes you're going to literally reallocate the inventory to a brand new listing and start from scratch. And that's your kind of re-rank of a dead listing because you want to scrap all of the bad data from having the listing be dead and de-indexed for 3 months. Sometimes you can actually bring back that same listing by revamping the content and getting a higher than average click-through rate and a higher than average conversion rate based on the Product Opportunity Explorer data you have and the search term reports data and search query reports data that you have, and then relaunching it using single keyword exact match ranking campaigns and ASIN targeting campaigns. So it is possible, but you have to run it as if it's a brand new launch. You have to be prepared to lose some money in the beginning. You have to be prepared to spend a lot of money on ranking campaigns that don't provide a very good ACoS. It'll be a fairly high ACoS, but you're doing it to re-rank specifically. not to gain money from the listing. And you have to give it time for Amazon to see good sales history because of you artificially driving these sales with PPC. So it can be done, but you only try it if you can get the click-through rate for the top keywords and the conversion rate overall to be above average for the space. And luckily, Amazon gives you the data now because you can see with the search query report and with Product Opportunity Explorer, the benchmark for the click-through rate for the top keywords and for the conversion rate for the top ranking products. So if you can get above average for both of those things, then yes, it makes sense. You should relaunch. That's an ASIN that I would invest money in relaunching, and I would treat it like a regular launch. If you can't get a healthy click-through rate, or you can't get a conversion rate, or both that's above average, don't waste money on trying to relaunch it. Those are the two things you want to check before you even try this. But if you do, you can do it. It is possible. There are extreme measures you can take, like reallocating the inventory to a brand new listing, starting from scratch. Or you can even do it with the existing listing by cleaning it up and getting that CTR and CVR above average.
Definitely. And you can do, ASIN merges and stuff like that too. If it's like, creating a new listing on a new SKU, especially if, there are some reviews you'd like to maintain from like that other listing and that kind of thing, depending on how far you got with it,
Absolutely.
I'm currently running separate auto PPC campaigns on one ASIN, up and down, fixed, and down only. This strategy has increased sales, but am I cannibalizing my listings?
So it's common to create multiple auto campaigns for a single ASIN, but normally it's not necessarily with the different bidding strategies, but rather with the different match types. So you have close match, loose match, substitutes, and complements. Those are the 4 different types of match types you have with auto campaigns. We typically won't run the same auto campaigns with the same match types with just different bidding strategies unless we're having a problem. Now, if you're saying that it has increased your sales and it's not increasing your ACOS, then if it works, it works. You just have to be careful that you're going into all of them to input the negative keywords that are losing money so you can, because the proper management of an auto campaign is you continually download the search term reports, see which keywords are bleeding, and then you negate them so that those auto campaigns get more and more efficient over time. You have to make sure you're doing that with all 3 if you're going to do it in this way. So if it works, it works. I mean, there's some element of mystery to how Amazon allocates the impressions of your ads around the website. We're never going to know fully exactly how Amazon determines which ASIN gets an impression or not. There's so many factors. So we always say if you're testing something out and it's working, keep doing it. It's fine. And I wouldn't worry about cannibalizing your own listings. I would just worry about proper management. I would worry about making sure that you're negating keywords on all 3 of those campaigns, and you're keeping your head clear about if those campaigns are staying lean over time by you managing them properly like an auto campaign. You should basically manage them all exactly the same.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm of the belief that, cannibalization, like that's kind of what happens when, it's unintentional, right? Like nobody cannibalizes their own keywords on purpose, right? If you have very clear KPIs and you know exactly what you're looking for from each campaign and what you're trying to accomplish, with your advertising, I think you'll, be worrying about like cannibalization a lot less. That's kind of my take on it.
Totally agree.
When launching a product, would you recommend use both automatic and manual campaigns? How would you strategize it? So this might be a little bit, I'm not sure if they're asking about like auto campaigns or if they're asking about like automation, like Perpetua or that kind of situation.
Sounds like it's auto campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in the very beginning of the launch, don't even worry about the auto campaigns. I would leave them off. The reason is because Amazon doesn't have the sales history to be able to know effectively what keywords to try to advertise you on. So it's going to end up wasting a lot of your ad spend. The better way to do it is to do a lot of keyword research up front using Helium 10, Data Dive, whatever tools you use, and create your own list. So you're kind of being your own algorithm, your own auto campaign. You create your own list of keywords that you know you should be advertising on, and you do exact match campaigns or group them by semantic core, like I mentioned earlier in the AMA, and start with just that, just those, no auto campaigns at all. And then as the launch progresses, in the few weeks as it progresses, then you can start turning on auto campaigns, phrase match, broad match campaigns, because you'll be at a point where you have enough sales data for Amazon to be better at targeting different keywords for you. So with their auto campaigns, with their own algorithms. So at that point, then you can start using Amazon to mine data, which is what an auto campaign is. You're using the auto campaign to mine data, which is finding new keywords for you to then create exact match campaigns for, or broad match campaigns for, and phrase match campaigns for, that then you use to find more exact match campaigns. So yeah, short answer, start with no automatic campaigns, just manual campaigns, single keyword exact match ranking campaigns. And if you have assets, video campaigns, sponsor brand campaigns, I wouldn't even touch sponsor display when you're at the early launch stage. Just keep it sponsor product, sponsor brand, unless you have amazing assets or you have a lot of money to spend. And then weeks into the launch, like anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks into the launch, you can start turning on the auto campaigns and the other campaign types.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Being really intentional, if you know what your product is and what you want people to search for and find it for, it's worth, spending a little bit more on those exact match and that kind of thing. Okay. How many exact keywords do you recommend to add for one campaign or one ad group? I know we usually try to do less than 10 here at MAG, but I've also heard feedback that even 5 can be too many.
Yeah, I mean, so we touched on this before. Basically, for the keywords that absolutely are high relevance, high impressions keywords. So in my example of the chewable omega supplement for dogs, I might find that there are 5 main chewable omega-3 supplements for dogs keywords that I know I have to rank for, and that represents a vast majority of the sales. And it's chewable omega-3 for dogs, chewable omega-3 for small dogs, and omega-3 for dogs, and 2 others. So I'm going to create one campaign with just that one keyword for those 5. Those are going to be my alpha campaigns. And I could have way more alpha. I could have 20, 30, 40 alpha campaigns. These are keywords that I know are high relevance, high impressions. I should be spending money to rank for them. So those are my alpha campaigns. Then for the other campaigns, you can have dozens of keywords in a campaign that you group. So in the example that I had before, we were talking about a toy blocks product, and we know that a lot of the searches are learning based searches. So it's learning toys for kids, learning toys for toddlers, learning toys for my son, learning toys for my daughter, learning toys blocks, learning toys under 4 years old or whatever. I put all the learning toys keywords together. Then there might be the keywords that are all about the avatar. So I have a whole family of keywords that's just toddlers, toddler toys, toddler toy blocks, toddler toy Legos, toddler toy, and then it just goes on and on. I'm going to put all those in a campaign. So grouping by semantic core is an effective way to manage your number of campaigns and not let it get completely out of control while still having enough control over the keywords themselves and the bids.
Definitely. And, I see on, your website here, we have, more explanation as far as, what delta encompasses, alpha, omega, those kind of categories. If you wanted to, we have a few more minutes left. If you wanted to just briefly kind of touch on what each is and,
I actually lost you for a second there, Marissa. Can you say it again? I
Yeah,
lost the
I
last 10
said,
seconds.
because you were talking about alpha. So as far as the different kind of tiers that we have here, as far as delta and alpha and omega, if you wanted to, touch on those like very like briefly with the, little time we have left here, I think that might
Yeah,
be
sure.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sophie is a very unique company because what we do is we basically partner with your brand, and we have a PPC solution that views your PPC completely holistically. So we look at the whole picture of your PPC. And the main thing that we do is we help you get to the point where you fix all the issues relating to the two main fundamental components that PPC sits on top of. And that's click through rate and conversion rate. So, click through rate, I could name a dozen things right here: the coupons on the listing, the relevance of the title, the primary image, the price, the strike through price, the badges, and it goes on and on. So we're going to help you fix those issues that are messing up your click through rate. And then conversion rate. I can name dozens of things that are affecting your conversion rate: your A plus content, your brand story, your secondary images, your bullet copy, the top voter reviews, all that stuff. Those are the things that your PPC sits on top of. That's what most PPC agencies, PPC freelancers miss, is you can spend all day messing with the budgets, but if that fundamental part is not sound, your PPC can never perform well. So what we do is we act as a partner with you, with your brand. We fix those two issues by going deep into what the problem is. Well, we help you fix those issues. We'll diagnose the problems, call it out, and then show you exactly what you need to fix those issues so that our PPC strategy can perform well. Now, when it comes to our PPC strategy, we have created an entire library, and we actually publish this. It's called the PPC Tree of Potential, of different campaign types. And we mapped out every possible campaign configuration that there is on Amazon. There's thousands. And we map them out in all one big visual view. It's a zoomable map that you could zoom in and out of. We then create the recipes for different goals that we need to achieve with your brand. Say, like we mentioned earlier, brand defense. You want to defend your own brand from other competitors stealing your brand, and your own branded keywords from stealing, other brands from stealing your branded keyword data. Or brand offense, you want to snipe other brands. Or launching a new product. We have a complete sequence for what campaigns to run when we're launching a new product, or any number of other goals or situations for consumables products, for one-time purchase products, for high ticket products, for low ticket products. And we create campaigns that perform for that particular product category while fixing the issues that you have that are affecting your PPC that relate to your click-through rate and conversion rate. So we see amazing results with this. We actually only have a few slots available per month because we don't overbook this service. And we're going to be hosting an event called the Profitable PPC Challenge in September that tickets will open for next week. We've done this twice so far, and they've completely sold out. If any of you guys want to learn more about PPC from me and Sophie, I would love to have you come. All you have to do is check my Instagram or check my LinkedIn. I'll have the link on that page for you guys to join if you're interested. And thank you for having me on this, Marissa. I had an awesome time. I wish we could have gotten to some more of these questions, but this has been amazing. We'll have to do another one.
Yeah, definitely. No, this is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me. A few plugs of my own before we wrap up. So catch John Aspinall tomorrow. He'll be doing the ASIN reviews live at 12 Eastern, so same time tomorrow. And then on Friday, Jason will be doing general Amazon questions. So, PPC, catalog, troubleshooting, really anything. So that's the Friday podcast. So thank you again for joining me. As a reminder, we do have, a lot of resources on myamazonguy.com website. So as far as main image hacks, that's in here, as well as, all the services we provide. We're always hiring. So we're really looking for, more brand manager interns, PPC specialists, a must. I think our hiring, we're at like 120% right now. So always hiring, always looking for talent. So if you're interested, please make sure you apply. I think that is myamazonguy.com/careers. So that's going to be over here. So all types of positions. My screen would load, but yeah, a lot of good stuff on the MAG website. So thank you again for joining us. And I hope you have a great day. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for coming. I dropped my email in the chat. If I didn't get to something, feel free to email me. I'll try to get back to you. Or if you have a question about anything I said. Thank you, Marissa. You're an awesome host. I love doing this. I would love to do it again.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
All right.